Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of the International Polka Association IPA Inductee Interview Series. My name is Rich Zebrowski. I am currently an IPA director from the state of Pennsylvania, and with me today is 2023 IPA Hall of Fame inductee John Nalevanko. John, welcome.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here with you, Rich.
Good. I'm glad you're here. What we'd like to do today, John, is talk a little bit and give the polka fans out there that are familiar with the IPA an opportunity to really learn about you. One of the nice things with this new interview series is that the inductees or the inductees' family, in some cases, have the opportunity to let their fans of the inductee know what inspired them, what led to them being inducted, and I think that's an important part of the organization's role. So if you're up to that,
I'm ready.
I've got some questions for you today. Hey, before we go any further, too, I want to take just a second to thank the folks here from the Yukon Slovenian Hall in Yukon, Pennsylvania, for opening up their club to us today. It's a beautiful hall, and for the longest time, they've been proud supporters of polka music. So we'd like to send out a quick thank you to them as well.
Especially to those people out there because they've hosted so many dances or allowed the promoters to host dances here in Pennsylvania.
Exactly. A little later on, we'll discuss that as well because you
so many.
You do that as well. You utilize them. So
thank you.
We'll get that. All right. So in a lot of instances, some of the inductees are singular in their in their roles. They're either musicians or they're disc jockeys, IJs, or they're polka promoters. Today with you, we have the rare opportunity that you do all of those. You're a band leader for many years. You've been a radio DJ for many years. You're also a polka promoter currently for many years. So some of the questions that I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, relate those to the different roles that you have in the polka music. All right.
Be happy to do so.
All right, great. So, first of all, are you the first one in your family to have an active interest in polka music, or do you remember far back?
I remember my dad listened to polkas, and I used to sit there with the little 45s, and I'd play those Peter Pan records for the kids. Well, he'd come home with a 45, 7 days and 7 nights without you.
Let me guess by who?
Naturally, by Little Wally.
There you go.
And I played that thing. In fact, I probably wore it out.
Good.
But that was my first introduction to polkas.
So, and how old were you at that time? You said
about 5 or 6.
About 5 or 6. So, if without giving you away your age, how many years have you been involved with polka music from that moment?
Boy, it's been quite a few.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. So that was your first introduction to polka music, and then eventually, I know that you started playing polka music. When did you first start playing in a band?
Well, actually, first of all, I started listening to the music, and then when I was about 6, we went to Fedora's Grove, and I got to see Little Wally at the time, and he was actually set up right in front of the Grove, not inside the Grove. Crowd was so huge, but he sat there with those drums, and the band just fell into him. I remember he started singing the Tsiganka, Gypsy Polka, and that band just fell in with him, and I fell in love with polkas.
Yeah.
And I always admired the way he commanded the band.
Sure.
So, and then I always wanted to play drums and tinkered on the garbage cans and all that stuff, usual kid stuff. And my uncle convinced my mom and dad, get him a set of drums. So I was about 7 or 8 and got a set of drums. Took some lessons from local teachers and just played to the records.
Sure.
And I think a lot of drummers played to the records when they grew up and, acquired their knowledge.
And then how old were you, or how long ago, if you recall, when you first started playing with the band, polka band?
Well, I actually first started playing square dance music.
Okay.
When I was about 10.
All right.
And I played with a little square dance band on Saturday nights. A female accordion player, guitar, mandolin, and drums. And I played square dance music for a while. But then I got into 8th or 9th grade. And I got with a group of 2 brothers, Joey and Eddie Starioski. And we were called the Polka Stars.
All right.
And we played 3-piece.
What year would that have been? Do you remember?
That's about 67, 68.
So we could probably say around 1967 when you first started playing in polka music.
And we did little church festivals. Back in the 60s, every church had a festival on Sundays.
Oh, right.
And at that time, there was a couple DJs that went out and broadcast festivals. And I always liked watching the DJs, what they did. In fact, my dad used to take me up to Greensboro to watch Joe Fedor do the show on Sunday nights. And he was a very big, in fact, I think a lot of people, musicians, DJs, have eye problems. It's I did this, I did that. But
I thought you were talking opposite.
no. But I learned from all these people, they were forerunners in my career.
Sure.
And they taught me the do's and don'ts of music, playing in a band, radio announcing. So I had a nice background of people to influence and help me growing up.
Okay, so you brought up the radio announcers. So and some of the influence, you said Joe Fedor. When did you start on the radio? How long?
1976, I started my show.
76. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's been 86, 96, 16, close to 50 years.
Almost 50 years,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
You mentioned, your first time at a polka dance, and you saw, Little Wally and the band performing. If I had to put you on the spot and say, what band or what musician was probably your biggest influence, would you be able to
Well,
answer that? Or
I guess I'd say it was the early Chicago artists, like I said, Little Wally,
yeah,
Marion Lush. Those were the guys that became popular in Western Pennsylvania.
right.
Seeing them at the church festivals, in fact, and the different festivals. As I mentioned about Johnny Sims and Joe Fedor, they brought polka music to the people.
Right.
Joe Fedor for years had the Grove, and he hosted so many of the big names.
Mm-hmm. As you do as well, and
Right.
you. That's the other thing we talked about. So far your drum playing with your musicianship and also DJ, and you're also currently a polka promoter. You hold dances.
Been doing that for a couple of years, but
Yeah,
I learned from these other guys.
sure. Yeah, those are great role models and great
Yeah.
instructors.
And then, of course, Johnny Sims did the church festivals, and he also hosted something which is gone by the wayside, the Idlewild Park Polka Days. And if you ever look at the back of Stephanie's CD cover, there's a picture from the back of her looking out at the audience, all the people on the
The
hillside.
yeah.
That was Idlewild Park. And today everybody says, oh, we had 400 or 500 people, 1,000 people. Back then, folks, there was, I bet you, 1,000, 2,000 people came out
Oh, right.
for
right.
these polka festivals. So polkas are not what they were, but they're still thriving to a point.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. All right. So going back to as a musician, have you ever recorded any polka album?
I've done several recordings. Our first recording was with a group called the Music Towns we had, and we actually heard a record on a jukebox, Dickie Lee, country artist, Ashes of Love. And I said to the guy at the time, Joe Papier, I said, hey, Joe, let's do a polka out of it.
Okay.
So Johnny Sims led us down to Pittsburgh, to G&C Studios. Glenn Campbell, not the one on TV, a little short guy named Glenn Campbell. And on a Sunday morning, we went down and recorded Ashes of Love, and it actually became pretty popular.
Yeah.
Of course, Eddie Kutza did it after us. Jimmy Sturr did it after us.
Yeah.
Windy City Brass did it. But we had our own local version of it, which was kind of neat.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Yeah. Well, what is your favorite style of polka music to play?
I prefer the Chicago style.
Chicago style.
Although I learned from doing radio and experience with people, you gotta like all styles because there's people from all walks of life, all different styles of polkas. The Chicago style, which is a little slower, easier to dance to. The Eastern style, which is usually big band oriented with the horns and saxes and that, a little bit on the faster tempo. Then, of course, you had the Connecticut Twins, they flew by on their music.
Sure.
So,
Well, there's some people that will tell you Eastern style is not a tempo, but actually a style. But yeah. So, have you always been the leader of the bands you performed in, or
not really.
Okay, so and you currently are the leader of a band.
Well, yeah.
The ATM band.
The
and
ATM,
it's
all
come-
types of music.
Some name changes over the
Right,
years.
right.
How long has that been around?
Since around 73.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
so that's quite a while too that you've been a band leader
Well,
as well.
it was actually called the Music Towns.
Yes, right. You have some recordings by them
And,
in
yeah.
that band as well.
And we changed over the years the title of the band.
Do you remember the original members of
Yes,
the
I
band?
do. There was the music tons was Chuck Sherrick, Jerry Garcia, Art Always, myself, and Joe Papier.
Okay. All right, put you on a spot trying to pull back
No,
50 years ago, but that's good. So John, as a polka musician, have you had the opportunity to travel much around the country playing?
well, we did some traveling, East Coast, a lot of times afterwards, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York. Never got as far as Chicago, but even went down towards Maryland and
Yeah.
some of the states down there.
Do you have any favorite spots that you've traveled to that you?
I always enjoyed the Bayway Polish Home was nice.
Yeah, that's a favorite
That
amongst
was
a lot of
old.
musicians.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the old homestead for playing out east. And of course, Ludlow PACC,
Yeah.
another great place to perform.
Yeah, Ludlow still in operation. Once a year at a minimum, they have the big IPA dance there, and then they try to do monthly dances. So that's great to know that they're still around and doing
Right.
well. So as opposed to the original Bayway Polish Home, that no longer with.
Things change.
They do, absolutely. So when you're playing, do you have any particular tunes that you would say are your favorite, or that you like, or a song that you enjoy playing?
I've got several songs I really like. I like the songs like the new brass did, like Strawberries and Raspberries.
Yep.
Their version of Roll Out the Barrel is always great. And
Ah.
of course, Blazonczyk, some of his great songs like My Girlfriend Katie, which is one of the first ones I heard by his band.
Yeah.
And Little Wally's all his goodies, like 7 Days and 7 Nights, I mentioned that. Bukayashu. And let's see, Marion Lush had some great hits, like White Table, A Cavalier, waltzes. I love a pretty waltz,
You like to play waltz?
especially with Marion Lush, like Play Little Gypsy was one of my favorite old waltzes.
Yep. Yep. So let's switch a little bit to your experiences on the radio. You have, as I said earlier, you've been on the radio for many, many years. To what do you attribute your success on the radio?
Well, I actually went to radio school, Institute of Broadcast Arts. And when I went to school, everybody had these Walter Cronkite voices. And the teacher went around the room and pointed a finger at me and says, he's going to get a job. He's different.
Oh,
So,
so very good.
so because of the quality of my voice.
Yeah. So
Which-
you went to school for broadcasting prior to your
Yes.
first experience on the radio.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
nice. I did not know that. So,
Yep.
well, that's good. That's good. Do you have any advice to? I know the world is changing in terms of the way radio programs are broadcast now. IJs, obviously, when you first started, that didn't exist. Now, streaming and the different formats that people are able to do. First of all, that's another thing that you've been able to adapt to that. Your programs now are streamed on the internet, which gives you a broader audience, everything. So if you were to try and provide some advice to someone who's just entering the field or trying to be more successful and improve themselves on the radio, or do you have anything that you'd like to tell them?
No, as I mentioned before, listen to your predecessors. Study what other people have done. Pick up on their ideas. We can't all be original. A lot of people claim to be original, but use what you learn from other people and build with your own ideas.
All right, we'll use this as a broad question for your musicianship in a band, your polka promoting, and your radio broadcasting. Everybody's got those moments that they'd like to go back and do a redo. Do you have any big time that you say, I wish I hadn't done that, or I'd like to do that a little differently?
Well, a funny thing,
Yeah.
which I got to relate to the audience. I always like to talk about local musicians and people. And there's a particular musician in the Pittsburgh area that we bantered on and on about each other. Well, I actually got on the radio one time and told everybody that this particular musician left his oil filter at the gas station. Well, lo and behold, his mother and his wife called him, and he was in Massachusetts
Yes.
to tell him he didn't get his oil filter.
Yes.
And I'm still hearing about that one.
Yeah, I was involved on the receiving end of that, so I remember that. So that, yeah, I would put that as certainly not something that you regret, because that was pretty funny.
That's
But
one of the funny
but that's
things,
pretty
yeah.
wacky. So you stated that you think, originally when you first got on the radio, it was your voice that set you apart from the other people.
Yeah, that was part of it.
Yeah, a part of it. Or what was the other part, do you think?
I think because of my determination. I have a lot of people know my voice is a handicap. I have one vocal cord,
No.
and I had open heart surgery, and the cord was cut. The vocal cord was cut, and but as I said, I never let it get in the way of my things I tried to achieve.
No, absolutely not. No. All right. So that sets you apart clearly in the announcing, and you're playing and you're promoting. You have any special thoughts about, because your dances are always successful.
Thank you.
You have very good turnouts. You have great bands that play for you, and so is there some secret sauce to that you could help other promoters
Well,
with?
I think first of all, I don't overdo the dances.
Mm-hmm.
Today, people can't afford to go week after week after week to dance.
Right.
So I spread them out over the year. I bring quality bands in,
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
and that is the success. That's key to my success.
John, thinking back all the years that you've promoted polka music, have you had any dances that really stand out in your memory that is good or bad?
Well, actually, the first dance I ever tried to promote, I brought the late Ray Bujelik in
Ah,
to the Legion Late Trobe.
yeah.
We had a very nice turnout for it. It was the Friday after Thanksgiving, big snowstorm. Place was filled.
No, nice.
And I started running dances the day after Thanksgiving for quite a few years. And then that kind of fell by the wayside. So I went to doing some dances here and there. And I had dances at Late Trobe Legion, Co-AC in Greensburg. In fact, Marion Lush was quite ill for a while there, and he quit playing. I got him to come back out. He played the Co-AC. Our band backed him up. The place, once again, a very nice turnout. People hadn't seen him for years came out. And promoters like the late Chester Tchaikovsky, promoters Zip Lubovinsky, everybody came out to see Marion Lush.
Oh, sure. You talked about Ray Bujelik Orchestra, that makes me wonder. Like, I didn't ask you this question, but do you have you're a drummer? Everyone knows that. Do you have a favorite drummer, or from current, past, or
Well, Mr. Peter Zach was really famous.
from the Ray Bujelik Orchestra?
Band.
Absolutely, yeah.
Roger from the New Brass.
Yes.
He was one of my idols. Of course, Little Wally style, which was Chicago style. I liked his drumming.
Yeah. Oh, those are those are quite a few top-notch people to try and emulate. So
And in today's day and age, I can't hold a stick to some of them. Ryan Lukács is very good on it, very versatile.
right.
And I admire his drumming quite a bit.
Oh, well, I'm sure he'd be happy to hear that. So, John, earlier you were talking about successes of dances that you hold, and obviously anything that could be done to help build polka music could go a long way for everyone, any of us involved in this. So, do you have any thoughts on what's going on with the polka industry today, specifically with dances, and what, if any, in your mind, changes should be made?
Well, by all means, I don't think polkas are dead.
No, right.
Polka music's still alive, just not as lively as it was at one time. And I think a lot of that's attributed to the fact that, well, the parents of the kids today don't bring them out to dances. I remember when you and I were growing up, our parents took us to every church festival,
Sure.
every dance they went to. The kids got exposed to that. And I think one way to help this situation is by being different places with the music, like we do pizza parlors.
Sure.
Families come in. Church festivals, of course, are still popular, but getting out into the public places with polkas that exposes it to more people.
Sure, right. Take the music to the masses,
Right.
as opposed to
And even if it sounds silly to play a restaurant or maybe a little place out that's out of the way to just set up and play, and they allow to have the polka music here. That's always a way to get people involved.
Absolutely. I think that's good advice as well, John. Thank you. Do you have anything that you really think is your greatest success story, or something that you're the most proud of, or
Well,
obviously being inducted in the Hall of Fame?
that is probably the biggest thing,
Yeah.
really. I guess another one of the big successes was I got to play with the Frank Wojnarowski's orchestra at Kennywood Park.
Ah, nice.
At that time, Jersey Ritchie was starting out, and he came out and he was going to be playing with Frank and Idlewild, Kennywood rather. He invited me to play drums. And that was kind of neat to get.
Yeah,
up there
that
and
is
play.
pretty amazing. Yeah. I also, if I'm not mistaken, are you in the Broadcasters Hall of Fame?
Yes,
Yeah. Do you remember what year that was?
2016.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again on
Thank
that.
you.
So,
Thank you.
multi Hall of Fame inductee. Who'd have thought when you were first starting this out years later, we'd be having this conversation. You'd have all these success stories. So, and did you ever consider that not devoting your energy and time in polka music? Was there any other style? I know you said you started square dance band.
Yep.
Any thoughts thinking back on that, like why you went to polkas? Was it the right choice for you?
Well, it was just the thing to do because my parents liked polkas. I liked polkas. Our neighbors had a polka band,
Okay.
and I used to listen to them practice every week.
Yeah,
But polkas just seemed to be the niche I turned to.
that's your fit. That's your
Yes.
favorite. That's your favorite music, you'd say.
Yes.
And all right.
But I
Well,
do like country. I like the old country, like Marty Robbins, Buck Owens, people like that, traditional country artist.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, I like listening to some rock. But otherwise, those are the genres of music I kind of stay with.
All right. Well, you have, I mean, obviously been influenced by a lot of those folks in your style that you play and
Right.
your selection of music. But growing up or even today, are there any entertainers out there that you would say are your heroes, or somebody that you really think to yourself that, that's what you would like to be?
I'll tell you what, I do admire Bruce Springsteen's music.
Okay.
He's a very accomplished musician,
Oh, absolutely.
and I like his style of music. And
How about particularly in the polka field?
the polka field, there have been so many over the years. Right now, I know Joe Brightus was a big influence, his style,
Right.
and
from
music.
Cleveland. From Cleveland.
And of course, if you talk to Lenny Gomolka, he did a lot like I did. He learned from Eddie B and all the guys growing up. And he's really climbed the ladder and made his style, his music successful in polkas.
Yep, I agree with you on that.
So he's another one I admire.
Yep, absolutely. So, well, I've been asking all these questions when you were coming here today. Were you thinking to yourself there was something that you specifically wanted to talk about, or anything that you wanted
No,
to
I
go
think
over?
we've covered a good bit of stuff. Just that I want to say thanks to all the people who were there to help me in life. My parents,
Yep.
and of course, my late wife helped me. Was encouragement there. My children, who are not big polka fans, but they tolerated it over the years.
Oh,
And I'd like to thank all the fellow musicians who put up with me.
yeah. And interestingly enough, you brought your children into the discussion, but you recently have moved your recording studio, or not your recording, but your broadcasting studio into your home.
Yeah, I'm broadcasting from my basement.
Yeah, that's quite an accomplishment. Congratulations on that.
You're talking about radio broadcasting. And how when it first started, I just was in a little studio. If my signal got across town,
Right.
I was lucky. Nowadays, it's across the world.
It's amazing.
It's
isn't
kind
it?
of scary.
It
People
is.
hearing this voice all over the world.
All right. Well, John, if there isn't anything else that you'd like to bring up, I want to thank you for spending some time with us today, and I also want to congratulate you on your
Thank you.
induction, the IPA fine choice they made with you this year, and I know you were thrilled when you heard about it, and
I was deeply surprised.
yeah, well,
Because I just did what I did because I like doing it.
yes,
And to be acknowledged for that by an organization like the IPA is really something. Once again, I cannot thank the people who voted for me. and the people who got me there.
Right, and also as a testament to that, I know all of your polka fans, both when you're on a stage or while you're broadcasting, everybody was really excited for you, and so that says that it was the right choice. So congratulations once again,
Thank
John.
you very much.
Okay, thank you, John.